We have to be willing to give God control. I mean, He's already in control. Sometimes we give ourselves the illusion that we can be in control of things. And really, the key to walking with God is to understand that He has always been in control, yet we like to hold on to things. We like to hold on to micromanaging things and thinking that we need to do things in our own strength or do things our own way. Right now, I'm facing a big stress in my life, and I keep thinking that I have to do everything myself. And sometimes God just wants us to rest and let Him work out the details and show us the way. When it says that He makes our path straight, that means we don't need to be out there with a shovel and surveying equipment to try to make the path straight ourselves. We need to trust Him to do that for us. It's a lot easier said than done. I don't know about any of you. I've been very independent. I've been on my own since I was 15, so giving up control to me feels like anxiety. It feels like if I'm not in control, I'm losing my autonomy. I'm losing my dignity, my self-respect, all these things. But that's not the case with God. When God wants control, it's not control over, it's control of. And it's always in our best interest, and it's always in a loving way. There's been times when I've panicked and stressed out over something for no reason, just to find out that God was going to come through when I least expected it. Let me give you an example. There was a time a few years ago when there was a housing program, which I'm in Canada here. We have things called housing programs. This one included rent subsidy, and they were supposed to pay a portion of the rent, and they didn't come through. There was some complications with their financing office, and I received an eviction notice for the 14th, and I was so panicked. I was so freaked out. I was calling my friend. I was crying on the phone. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and all the way up until on the 28th, I still was there, and nobody had come to evict me, and I was like, wow, I'm still here. I don't know what's going on. I kept calling the managing office, like the property management office. I come to find out. So on the 28th, the check went through, and on the same day, on the 13th, the building manager went on vacation until the 28th. So God arranged that clearly. They weren't here to evict me on the 14th because they had gone on vacation the day before. If they didn't go on vacation, I would have been out on the street, even though the check came eventually. But I was panicked for nothing because God knew what was going to happen. And I was so relieved. And it taught me a lesson to hold on to Jesus. Don't look at your circumstances. Just like Peter, as soon as he looked at the storm, he started sinking. While he was looking at Jesus, though, he was able to walk on water. That's incredible. No charlatan, no, Charlie's, whatever his name is. It wasn't like magic. It was the power of God working through him because he was one with Jesus. His eyes were fixed on Jesus. So when it feels like there's a storm around you and things are falling apart, just keep your eyes on Jesus, and He will keep you afloat. He will make sure that you don't sink. The minute that we look at our circumstances, our bank account, the physical situation of our life, of course we're going to panic, and you might drown, like not literally, because Jesus will rescue you. I'm just saying that be willing to submit everything to Him in petition and in prayer. It says, do not worry, but come to the Father with these things, right? It also says that he takes care of the birds and the grass, and how much more is he going to take care of his children that he loves? And it says that a parent is not going to give their child a snake or a rock, and how much more is God not going to give his children good things, right? I'm paraphrasing, pardon me. If you're familiar with those passages, that's great. If not, you can look up the parables of Jesus, and you can look up Peter walking on water. I'm sure if you just Google it, the stories will come up. I apologize if I'm being too vague. Anyway, I still don't know what's going to happen with my situation. What I do know, though, is that I'm going to let go and let God, because it is too much for me to handle. I know that I can do all that I can do on my part, and the rest has to be up to God. I'm not saying do nothing about your situation. I'm just saying trust the outcome to Jesus, because he knows what's up. He knows what's going to happen, and he knows what pieces need to fall in place for his plan for you. And it might be tormentous waiting. Sometimes it's the hardest part about trusting God is waiting and waiting and waiting and not knowing, like, God, what's the plan? Hello. But don't ever think that that means he's abandoned you. Don't ever think that that means he's not going to answer your prayer. Daniel fasted for 21 days, and then an angel showed up and said, we've been fighting darkness this whole time. Good thing you didn't stop praying. What if you stopped praying on day 20? So don't give up on prayer. Don't give up on contending with God. Don't give up on trusting him, because his plan is a lot better than what you can come up with. I can promise you that much. And he will come through, and it may not feel like perfect timing while you're waiting, but I promise you the timing is perfect, and his plan is worth waiting for. That's all I have to say. All right, thank you.